um, I gotta always start with thanking God. And I know this. You know, I make these videos because I know that one day I will not be able to speak. I say these things because I want those things to be out and say it. I don't care who's watched. I don't care who's watching my videos. I truly don't. There's a lot of perps. I mean, I know there's a way for them to try to torment me, but I don't care much. Uh, but I hope that maybe somebody feels better. I know a lot of what I'm saying is things that just almost sound like rambling, but the reason why I have videos, even though sometimes it's hard to comprehend, is because I've watched other testimonies about the target individual, and it's funny. Even though the testimonies they have are very like bizarre to talk about, I understand what you're trying to say because what happens as a target individual is they manipulate us. At this point, you will hear a lot of testimonies of people saying that life has been drastically different. We experience things that are just disturbing and rough. And when we call each other target individual, at this point, we understood that, especially target individual dealing with V2K, voice to skull, or those technology that is, they sound super like science fictional. The technology that we're talking about in regard of cognitively manipulate a human being. And you hear this, like the ability of this EEG herodyning, EEG cloning, those terminology that you're gonna hear if you look that up. You hear how insane it means, like what it is. Basically, you get familiar with this technology, or do some homework on it. And you hear people, very professional people, doctors, describing what this technology does. And you hear people who have high education addressing this technology that can rewire your brain, manipulate you, your thought process, your brain. And I know it sounds insane, but I don't think I would have believed it until it happened to me. So I understand why somebody it would be hard for them to believe it. But then when you start doing a little bit of searching, and it doesn't take much deep dive of research, it doesn't take much at all. It doesn't. You quickly find out about this technology that's these entities such as DARPA, and honestly, DARPA, which is Defense Advanced Research Programming Agency, I never even heard of that entity. I didn't even know about it. And you find out that this is what you call the brain of the DoD, the brain of the Pentagon. This is where some of the most sophisticated technology is being developed for the DoD. I mean, extremely sophisticated. It's like the science fiction things that you hear about, it comes from there with unlimited budget. I mean, they had a project called Project Pandora that started in the 60s, and they were using electromagnetic frequency or radiation of some sort to see how they can alter the mind of a human being. This is in the 60s, officially, and it ended in 69. So today, when you hear a bunch of target individuals talking about these manipulations, and then you hear that, okay, they've been working on it since the 60s, and today we're in 2024, just imagine technology in the 60s and imagine technology today. I mean, just imagine even the 90s and today. So you can imagine the advancements of this technology and how precise and manipulatable it can be. How far we are in technology in the mainstream purpose, like just the mainstream. Forget about the technology that these entities work on that we have no idea. That years and years ahead of the mainstream world, the commercial world. And understanding that there's been a human experimentation for a long time. That's how this technology has been advancing. They've been using humans being as guinea pigs for a long time. And then this kind of technology that is supposed to alter your mind What kind of human beings you think they will, like, how you think they could do that? Because at the end of the day, to see if this is going to work, and nobody's going to sign up, nobody's going to choose to be a guinea pig. You're going to be forced into that. Nobody's going to be like, hey, please manipulate my brain, pick me. Never. It's never going to happen. But the only way to continuously develop this technology is to do that on human beings. And you have to do that on all kinds of human beings. You have to have different human beings from all kind of places, all to see what function the best. And on top of that, because this technology is coming from entities that are working on weapons, the DoD is not here to make the world better. They might use the technology they've already acquired to do bad things into good things. But DARPA is working for the DoD. It's focusing on number one priority is for defense purposes, weaponizing technology. Then it changes into something else. So the development is not just the development of technology, but development of technology used for weapon. And so you figure out, oh my gosh, this is really true. And you don't sound as crazy as you sounded. Because I've wrote letters before finding out about being a target individual. I was saying, just describing what was happening. It's like, listen, what I'm saying is somehow this entity is doing things to my brain, because since that day, since August 19, 2019, I've not been thinking clearly. I've not been processed clearly. My brain has been manipulated. And I'm saying that not only did these people are able to see what's happening to my brain, but they're also able to manipulate what's happening in my brain. As in, they're able to manipulate me to experience things, and this is why it's happening in my brain. I've said that before. No. Then they found out that they've been doing that for a long time. Now, this program is meant to make the target individual lose his mind, and what we say sounds almost insane unless you figure out that, okay, this technology that actually exists. And you can never be too angry at how people, it's hard to believe these things. Because if it wasn't happening to you, would you believe in? But at this point, it's just there's so much validations coming from testimonials of others, people who are credible, talking about this. And so it's so hard to just ignore these things. Now, as a target individual, we are surrounded by people who are supposed to counter reality. This program consists of a whole ecosystem of civilians participating in this. And you gotta understand why they like to participate in this. It gives them an opportunity to work with technology that is so advanced, so sophisticated, that it makes them almost believe that they God, at least give them this intoxicating feeling that gives them a godlike feeling. And so they partake. Maybe there's other incentives. I'm sure financial incentives are involved there because this is the DoD. You hear the Nose campaign. And so you see these people compromised. People who are much smarter than you, trying to make you accept what's happening to you as if it's not happening to you because they manipulate you to experience that. You are being manipulated. Your brain is literally being rewired. You are forced to get emotion, reaction, and thoughts that they force you to have. As I said, perceptions are manipulated, thought processes are manipulated, memories are manipulated, stimulations, reactions are manipulated, memories, all of that are manipulated. Then you have people who are contracted to make you accept these things. And their job is to gaslight you into accepting this. Some of the people listen, there's all kind of people. But as I said, I'm going to sound like a prophet. And I'm going to see, and even when I'm gone, they're going to see how magical I am, because I'm not saying anything magical. These people who are in any other circumstances would be way smarter than you, make them dumb themselves down And there's been a few characters that I will never forget. Not even I will never forget. There's few characters I'll see. I'm like, you guys, you're one of the foulest human being, and and it's not like, it's not because she's a monster looking. It's because it's like you are really this bad. This is really bad. But I think what this thing is it's funny. They tell me how they're exposing me. I'm like, no, you're exposing yourself actually. And I've seen it made me see people differently because some people are smart enough to know like I'm not gonna stick around for too long. I know this is not good. I don't want this thing to come back to me because it will. Listen, I don't want to be spiritual, but you dedicate your time doing this foulness for whatever X amount of time. It's just a matter of time when things come to you. It's life. You've been doing these horrible things. You enjoyed it. It was easy. Okay. You were God, right? Okay. You're God. Okay. Something will show you what you truly are. And I'm not trying to be mysticful, but that's the reality. It's just a matter of time. We all have our time. And for these people who say, everything has its time, this is going to happen, like me, I'm dying off right now. I haven't been myself since August 19, 2019. I wrote a suicide letter in October of 2019. Because I was like, I'd rather die than... So, for me, this is kind of... I'm glad I didn't go through this thing because I was able to see things for what they are. It was just... I know that what it means is now I'm going to go through some rough, torturous experience, but this is dignified. I was able to live long enough to see the dignity out of this. I was. And I'm thankful to God that I was able to see this. I'm thankful to God that I was able to stick around long enough to see how dignified this thing is. Because I got to see the testimonials of vulnerable people, from men, women, and children, being subject in this. Able to see the mass shootings that this program has caused, even the death of children from a mass shooting, the defenseless women, how global it is, that this is just not domestic, but it's international. I mean, and on top of that, find out the entities that do these things. I keep bringing up this End National Defense Network Abuse Act. And I'm sure I'm going to see more before things get too bad for me. So, for me, my testimony is to know that before I go to that point where I'm so destroyed, I'm able to express myself. That's why you see 1,000 multiple videos a day, because I don't know when the day's gonna come. When I can't speak, when I can't express myself, when I'll be so much in pain that I don't know if I can then do anything. So I speak now and hope my words do something. And I do find there's a power in words. Listen, these perps, I don't care much about them. I don't care if they're healthy, unhealthy, happy or unhappy, regretful or not. I don't care. They're trash. The truth is, I want them to continue to live this life. I don't want them to live a dignified life. I want them to live a cowardly low life where they like distort reality and make themselves believe with some brave people, this and that. You are trash and you live a life like a trash. And for these participants who are, those are the people that detest the most, because they enjoy this. But they will never have their children do what these children are doing. They will never. I keep hearing children living next to me saying, "You raped me, you did this and that." You know how disgusting it is? To have your child say these kind of things because they're going to be using these kids to frame you. You're parents. You are here, or whoever you are, guiding this child to say, okay, you're gonna say that you're gonna. They are prepping this frame. You know that a child being trained and conditioned, and not even conditioned, groomed this way, it's not a good future for this child. It's a matter of time when some psychological issues gonna come. It's just a matter of time. You cannot have a child being like so into this world of framing people and saying they raped me and think that child's gonna be okay. Never. I'm not a genius, I'm not a psychologist, but I can tell you that perhaps if you have a child out here being told how to lie in regard of how somebody's gonna frame them, or how somebody's gonna rape, how somebody, how you should say that this person raped you, and you see how I'm speaking so hard because they're playing my thought process. Do you know the future is, it's not good for that person, especially a child. Like some of these kids, they sound like, they say that they're as young as 13 years old, babies. Now, well, not even kids. They're really like out here saying, "No, you raped me. We kissed. You're my lover." This is the things they say, and you see the mothers, the parents. You're like, "Oh my gosh, the future of this child is not." And you know what is most disgusting? I work with colleagues of mine who their life is much better situation. And they are here, will never have their children do these things, at least to that level. Probably will never coach their children to say, hey, say that this guy raped you. But, they are hyping these kids up to do that. So I feel like this is also nasty. It's like, look at you. You will never have your child do that. You will never do that. Right? It's just disgusting. You give your child the best of everything. You do but you're okay with their children being coached in this disgusting ways. And you care about children, huh? Fucking trash. To me, it's disgusting. But I don't, this perps participate, and good for them. Your children, the bright future they have going, trust me, it's not going to be the bright future of that person talking. And it's not about wealth. It's just like, if you care about your child, you will not be coaching your child to say this person raped you. And you know how they hype them up? It's like, oh, you're such a hero. You're brave. Oh, gosh. And all of them are watching, loving it. It's like, oh, yeah, because they want to enjoy this. And, me saying this kind of things, like, it just disturbs them because I'm saying things that they want to put in perspective. They want to live in this imaginative reality where they are here protecting the neighborhood. It's like bullshit. You are in a program that even torture babies, infants. You are rewiring my brain. You know my brain is being manipulated. You just enjoy the fact that you can be involved in a program that can do things to the brain in this fashion, that can manipulate a human being in this fashion. It makes you feel a little bit like a god, even though you're far from that. These perps surrounding you, interact with you via V2K. There's a perp right now who's telling me how they're going to be dressing me in their fashion. I'm like, whatever torture I'm going to go. They want to humiliate me with torture. I'm like, okay, this is torture. That's okay. You are humiliated by choice. You are humiliated by involving yourself in this nastiness, being embarrassed by the reality of what you're really part of, and you chose this. Me, in my torture, there's going to be dignity. Because this is not humiliation per se, it's torture. It's like an honorable person getting tortured. And they made me honorable. They made me dignified. I'm not perfect. But these people torture infants. And then be like, oh no, this is bullshit stories. I will never let them live their fantasy. And I'm glad I'm able to see these things. And they'll see that what I'm saying, as obvious as it is, it's going to be obviously coming back to them. One thing they've been trying to do, and I had to make another video because I get too angry, because what they try to present themselves is like, we're doing it for this girl, what you did as a kid and this and that. I'm like, poo, hoo. You know what they do to babies? I was talking to this woman was talking, I'm telling how her daughter was sick because of this and that. I'm like, do you know you're in a program that make baby as young as 3 weeks old sick to the point where they think they're gonna this 3 week old's gonna die? You know the horrible things to do, the radiation that they apply on kids. These things, what do you think it does to the child? You're involved in this. Then you try to make yourself believe it's like now you paid what you did as a kid and as a kid. You know the things they had to exaggerate? Because what they try to do is to make you forget what they're part of, which is a program they use human subjects as test subject, and the torture is part of it, inclusive of children. Working for a program that has been doing that for decades, causing even mass shootings. But I want you to think that there's this kind of group of like rogue, femme fatale, fierce avengers who go pay for the die for it, scream for them. They made a 7-year-old scream for it. They made a 3-year-old scream for it. They made a 9-year-old blind for it. And you sold your soul for it. And as in regard of me as a kid, oh my gosh. They've been trying to exaggerate this thing to make it seem like it's did this and not this dumbass kid in middle school. But I'm not gonna let them live their fantasy. I'm not. I am not. They're gonna look at themselves for what they are and humiliate them, because this is an impulsive act of a child that did something that is never gonna be what they wish. They talk about molesting. They wish it was true. But what I did to myself is what a kid is capable of doing. And this to try to go down from molesting, like, no, use her hand, you just trash. You talk about middle school, and then you try to exaggerate what middle school did. But I know what you don't like to talk about. And I'm going to make sure you see it every day, reality. Because when I was an older kid, when I was a high school kid, in my later teen, 16, 17, some things kind of was different. Something that was in my mind, something that was continuously thought of. And I'm going to make sure they're going to be dumbing themselves down to the point where if they really were analyzing me, they would understand really what this analyzing would be about. I want to make sure that. I want to make sure they see themselves for what they are. And it's going to be bad for me because it's humiliating. I'm humiliating them. I'm provoking them by seeing the reality. And I'm going to continuously do that. That's why I'm going to have interaction with people they don't want me to have interaction with. And I'm going to listen to the testimonies of what they do to other vulnerable people like women. And how disgusting they are to them. And how commonly some tactics are utilized onto them. I will never let them live the fantasy. You know, somebody did not feel well. Listen, life is life. Life is gonna be. One thing I can tell you, people love this program because my life is orchestrated, manipulated. Everything is changed. Everything my brain is manipulated in a level that's no reach. So it's so out of. And everything is orchestrated. They know I'm getting sick because of that. They're making me sick. They're making me ill. Things are failing my body because they're doing these things to me. And it gives them that feeling of godly. But I'm like, hey, listen, everything has its time. You're God today. You're God today. But remember, you won't be God someday. And in some cases, it has happened while I'm able to see this. Some other time, I will never know. But I don't care about them. I just want to make myself sound like a prophet because I say the obvious things. I'm not this wise being. I'm just saying, like, you're obviously doing all these foul things, to dedicating your time doing these horrible things. It's just a matter of time when something bad happens to you. That's it. You've heard it all before. You heard these things. And so it has happened. In regard to how they reconstruct you as a human being and the personality they've created to make you accept these things, it's crazy. Like I said, there's a childlike people. I don't know. I'm hearing kids as young as 13 years old saying they're gonna frame me. The kids like that, saying that they're gonna say I did something to them, right? So I'm expecting this to come up at some point, where they're gonna say that they did something to them. And the truth is, I know my computer, not even my computer, every device I have is hacked. If there is some kind of interaction that's happening, I have no idea, but they can easily do that. If they can hack your brain, do so much things to your brain, these devices and the all kind of, listen, they can have a whole phone call right now happening. I don't even know. That's because it's easy. So that is just that, and so they frame me in this way. At least that's what they make it appear to be. I don't know what's going to end up, but that's what I'm thinking it is. So I expect that to happen because they keep bringing that up, saying, "Oh, you did this. We framed. We dared to frame. This is a trash, living this world in this program that that do these things to people. This matter of time things are going to come to them. When and then when what it's none of my business. I don't care about that. Everything has its time. And so they want me to accept this persona. And today, what's happening? Oh, I'm being manipulated in ways like I keep mentioning, very pedophilia centric. When I look at a child, from the babies to the older kids, is going to be some manipulation. Perception is going to be manipulated. Stimulations are going to be experienced. Reactions of some stimulating ways, like sexual stimulations, are going to be implemented onto me. I can do nothing about that. But that's what they're going to do. Because this EEG cloning, EEG heterodyning can do so much to your brain. To the point of manipulating your perception. I've made videos about perception so much. Because I'm like,